Weird.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DargonEvo, and today we are unboxing the S.H.Monsterarts Shimo. I know this figure has been a little controversial, but I'm going to go into this very optimistic. And we also have the Haya Exquisite Basics Shimo on hand as well, but we're going to save her for a different unboxing. We're going to be reviewing both of these figures in the final conclusion video. But without wasting any more of y'all's time, let's get right into this unboxing. This time I got my little blade. We're going to flip this down and just go about freeing her like so. I personally like to preserve these boxes as much as possible. This is quite a big box, I must point out. It's kind of hard to get it all on screen. But without further ado, like so, we'll just flip this down. We got a sneak peek. If y'all don't care about this part, y'all can skip ahead because I have timestamps down below. But we're just gonna pull her out. Oh, that sounded atrocious. Move her back into frame. If it's one thing Tamashii Nations has hands down is their box art. This looks absolutely fabulous. We just have all the usual stuff with the movie, such and such Shimo, yada yada, 2025, legendary, all that official stuff including the Tamashii Nations sticker, identifying that this is an official product. Flipping her around, we have the back of the box. Obviously, we pull it forward, we can see a few poses that we've seen in the promotional images, including the accessory where we get an additional head for Kong. But like so, we're gonna free her just like this, and we can just pull the blister pack. And ooh la, you get a ooh and very nice preview. She is pretty big in person, honestly. Just right off, this looks very high quality. She almost looks like a statue, but obviously this is an S.H.Monsterarts, so we know what to expect. And then we can get a sneak peek of what that Kong head looks like. Very nice. If I could stop popping off Evolved Godzilla's hand, we can get a look at what they look like side by side. Of course, she's elevated just a little bit. And we'll go ahead and free her from this blister pack very nicely. She's very well weighted. Has a lot more joints in the abdomen than you would expect. And here's that additional Kong head. Nice look at all that nicely painted detail. Oh, and mind you, that tooth is matter of fact silver. We can see that is very nicely painted. Now finally taking a closer look at Shimo. Even just throwing her up into a pose like that looks pretty dang good. And like her crystals on her head look spectacular. Them being translucent looks very nice. Out of the box, she's really not too stiff. Like y'all can see that she's pretty weighty in the front. That's kind of why she has that tucked dog syndrome. Now something I just noticed on the tip of her tail, that these are actually on ball joints. So you can move her or have that happen. Just typical Tamashii Nation things. Now I don't know how far I want to go ahead and break her down. So if I rip her head off, we can get a nice close-up of all that detail. You can see Tamashii Nations really didn't cheap out on this. We have a very detailed pupil with a little bit of pink shading around her eye, along with some nice two-tones, purple sheen over that white, which really makes it glisten. It doesn't show up so well on camera. You see a little bit of that blue two-tone on top. And you see those translucent spikes, which do not disappoint. But that pearlescent top coat is a little hard to see on camera, which I promise you is much more vibrant in person. Now it is very different from the paint job on the Haya Shimo, so this is going to come down to personal preference. But we can even see that her teeth are very finely detailed. I have no complaints at all for what you'd expect from S.H.Monsterarts. And honestly, I don't think she resembles the Playmates too much. Now, if you can justify the price, that's totally up to you. But this one's articulation's obviously superior to the $10 version. Honestly, I was going to make a gag and then her neck popped off. And then I saw how her articulation is. And we can get a look at that ball joint structure. Now, I'm not going to tear her apart completely. But we have a lot of these ball jointed flaps to hide her gaps. So these would just like articulate like so. And like a lot of their neck sleeves, you would just kind of have it on there. Whenever you go ahead and pop that neck back on, I highly recommend not disassembling your Shimo. But we can see real quick where that
plate would cover is where you can see her official markings from the Toho Corporation, manufactured in China. Like I said, when you get her neck reassembled, it wasn't too hard. You got to get it in the up facing position. Just be careful not to break this joint. You want to grab it by the lower segment. So this is Shimo standing up, which, to be honest, while posing her spikes are pretty dang sharp. Like, you could legitimately impale your hands if you don't have calluses. So be careful of that. I feel like I'm bleeding somewhere. This wouldn't be the first time I got cut by an S.H.Monsterarts and got blood all over them. But you can see her ab crunch is kind of weak. So she kind of has that crouched grandpa syndrome. But she can stand up pretty well. She's got some nice bow in her arms, really allowing her to bear hug pretty much any kaiju because of her massive size. She goes toe-to-toe with the Tamashii Nations evolved Godzilla quite nicely. I think they scale pretty well together if you're comparing them to their movie counterparts. Shimo has the condition of looking pretty dang good no matter what pose you put her in, even when she doesn't fully fit in the screen. A few things I want to point out before I get into my final thoughts on this figure is that these are not super fragile, and the fact that they fall off means, well, maybe not this one, that they're less prone to breakage, which is always a good thing. These spikes on this plate section, which is similar to the bottom plate on her chest, are actually kind of rubbery. They're a little flexible, but I want to test it. These are also kind of rubbery. The sharpest ones would be the ones on the back, which felt like would cut my hands.
Now, if we get a close-up of those dorsal spikes under some nice lighting, we can see how translucent and glistening they are. It does look mesmerizing, and even the tip of her tail is done very well, which they do appear to be a darker shade of blue, but I think that's just due to the thicker type of plastic that they used. Now for some comparisons. Here she is next to the Playmate Shimo. With all the jokes going around on how this is the glorified Playmates, I think this settles the dispute right here. And of course, here she is next to the new S.H.Monsterarts Evolved Godzilla, looking quite sizable. S.H.Monsterarts has been nailing their scaling. And here she is next to the Haya Toys Energized Godzilla. No matter if you have S.H.Monsterarts or Haya Toys, I think a lot of y'all are gonna think that the S.H.Monsterarts Shimo scales better with the Haya Toys Godzilla here, which I do have to agree. And here we have the 2021 Mechagodzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. This itself is a massive figure, but I just love how massive both of these figures are. I think they look awesome standing side by side. And last but not least, we have Shimo next to the S.H.Monsterarts King Ghidorah. Well, as y'all can see, I have King Ghidorah de-winged because those things are a pain in the ass to deal with, but regardless, he still towers over Shimo in all of his glory.
This pose is accidental, and this just looks amazing. I definitely want to know what you think about her down in the comments. Personally, I like to spend some time with a figure before I give them an actual rating. I'm feeling pretty positive about her. If you want to pick her up while she's still available, I highly recommend it, because her price is surely going to skyrocket in the coming years. But I can say that this Tamashii release is a positive one if you can afford her. Nonetheless, she is expensive as hell. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. Like always, helps out the channel, and don't forget to subscribe. My name is DargonEvo, and as always, have an amazing day.